Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Earth Day Roundup here on April 22nd for our Retrofit Chicago and Saving Strategies for Home and Office. Today, you've got Katie Kaluzny, who's the Associate Director of Illinois Green Alliance, as well as myself, Dave Lippy, Manager of Cyclone Energy Group. We'll be talking today about, of course, Retrofit Chicago, the city benchmarking ordinance, some of the utility incentive programs that you could take advantage of at home and in office, and then as well as some tips for the home and office to keep you going through the day and keeping the family occupied with things to do while you're all sequestered together. So without further ado, I will be handing it over to Katie to go through Retrofit Chicago.
Thanks, Dave. My name is Katie Kaluzny, as Dave mentioned. Happy 50th anniversary of Earth Day to everyone. I'm really excited to be here today to talk with you about Retrofit Chicago. I work for the Illinois Green Alliance, which is a partner with the City of Chicago's Retrofit Chicago Energy Challenge, and we help administer this program on behalf of the city, working with buildings across the city on energy efficiency. So a little bit about the Retrofit Chicago program. It was founded in 2012 by the Mayor's Office of the City of Chicago to accelerate energy efficiency across the city. It's a voluntary leadership program for buildings throughout the city to sign up and reduce their energy use in one or more buildings by 20% over the next 5 years. They'll have to begin work within 6 months, and they also agree to track progress and share their success. The Chicago Energy Challenge has about 100 buildings in the program right now, and 30 of them have reduced their energy use by 20% or more. And the average energy savings across the portfolio of buildings that are in retrofit is about 15%, with an annual energy cost reduction of about $10.6 million per year. Retrofit Chicago is a free program that provides peer-to-peer learning and also provides awards and recognition for people's progress on energy efficiency within their building. It also provides additional energy assistance throughout the program from the program administrators and the Mayor's Office. As I mentioned, there are a lot of benefits of joining the program. One of the big benefits is the recognition and awards. Everybody is doing a great job working on energy efficiency in their buildings, but it isn't celebrated nearly enough. And this program provides an opportunity for the city and your peers to celebrate your successes in the program. So once a year, every November, the City of Chicago works with all of the buildings in the program to see, to track who's reached their 20% award, and also provide awards for the engineers and the property managers that have helped those buildings achieve those savings. We also provide a quarterly engineer roundtables where engineers within all of the buildings can share what examples and projects that they've been able to accomplish within their own buildings and the energy savings they've seen from that opportunity as well. The program also provides progress reports every summer after energy has been reported from the previous calendar year on the progress to show where you are in relation to the baseline that was set. Some of the newest Retrofit Chicago participants are on the slide here. That includes President's Plaza, 401 North Michigan, 200 North Dearborn, University of Chicago Law School, and West Haven Park Tower Condo Association. These are just a few of the buildings that joined within the past year and are setting their sites towards 20% reduction. Every year, we work to recruit buildings throughout Chicago, and we're always looking for more help recruiting buildings that are pursuing projects and might be on their way to 20% savings. One great part of the program is that you can set your baseline, your energy baseline up to 2 years in the past. So some of these projects had just completed projects around retrofits and energy efficiency in the past couple of years, and we're pursuing more projects in the future, and we're able to join Retrofit Chicago, set their baseline, and start tracking towards that savings. As I mentioned, that program, Retrofit Chicago, started in 2012. It started off with just 12 buildings committing to that 20% reduction. It got up to 20 that year, and as I mentioned, now we're at 100 in the program that are voluntarily working towards that efficiency goal. But that program really led to the introduction and passing of the Chicago Energy Benchmarking Ordinance in 2013. The benchmarking ordinance requires buildings larger than 50,000 square feet to report their whole building energy use annually and report it to the city. They also require verifying data accuracy by a qualified professional every 3 years to make sure that that data is as accurate as possible, both for the building owner and for the city's records. The city is authorized to make that building level energy performance available to the public through the city's data portal, which is in a link on this slide. And the benchmarking ordinance uses Energy Star Portfolio Manager, which is a free tool to track energy efficiency every year. There's also a Chicago Energy Benchmarking Help Center that's run by a partner of the city as well, Elevate Energy, to support any questions that happen throughout the year in the energy tracking. As I mentioned, the requirements for compliance include that whole building energy use. That includes electric and gas and any other various energy types that are used for the building. It's based on the previous calendar year's data, just like Retrofit Chicago. So for 2020, buildings will be reporting on 2019 energy data from January through December 31st. And that data must be professionally verified by engineers, licensed architects, and there's a list of about 7 credentials you can have to be that data professional. Also, on the letter that you receive from the city, either an email or in the mail, it'll let you know if this is the year that you need to have that professional verification. Every year, that data needs to be submitted to the city through Energy Star Portfolio Manager by June 1st, including June 1st of 2020. That date has not changed this year, as well as I'm aware. And again, it's based on last year's data, so everyone should have had access to that at this point. Just some impact and opportunity of the benchmarking ordinance. All of the buildings that are reporting, there's about 3,000 buildings that report annually. There's an estimated about $21 million in savings per year for energy reductions, just on tracking and being more aware of energy use in the buildings that are reporting. Also, Chicago has one of the largest reporting rates of any of the cities that have benchmarking ordinances, and we have about 88% of large buildings reporting in the past couple of years, which has gone up every year. So it's been a really great success with watching this ordinance help buildings out and looking at their energy use in a holistic way, and we're excited to see where that leads us. The new energy rating system is a piece of the ordinance that has just been added on in the past couple of years with some deadlines that are coming up right now. The next part of the ordinance that was passed in the end of 2017 requires properties larger than 50,000 square feet to also post an energy transparency certificate in their lobby in an unobstructed view. Really what this policy is looking to do is not require buildings to do any energy efficiency work, similar to the benchmarking ordinance, but allow tenants and owners and property managers a little bit of better understanding of where they fit in their energy performance. Not everyone is familiar with Energy Star scores, and so this rating system helps to make it a little easier to understand for everyone as far as the grand scheme of things of how buildings are performing in the city. The new rating system also addresses water usage. Placards were mailed last fall, and they're required to be posted by the end of March 2020. So you should start seeing those placards up in buildings when we're able to go back in buildings. This is an example of what the Chicago Energy Rating looks like. It's based on the Chicago flag, so 4 stars, and it's something that you can print off and download from the City of Chicago's website at energy benchmarking, cityofchicago.energybenchmarking.org. You can go to the next. The rating system is, again, based on Energy Star scores. So if you have an Energy Star score of 81 to 100, you have all 4 stars. And you can see you can also get half stars all the way down to 0 stars, which means that you did not submit benchmarking information for that year. Again, this rating system does not require buildings to make improvements. Neither does the energy or the benchmarking ordinance, but it is requiring transparency. And again, just the ordinance does authorize the city to share water data. And it also has some new exemptions if the building was recently sold, temporary exemption, and if there's any rare technical issues, you can contact the City of Chicago the Benchmarking Help Center to talk about your energy rating. The first ratings were assigned in the summer, and people have started posting those ratings. So you can see this is the rating placard that's posted at the Costco on Clybourne. I'm not sure where it's posted, but someone submitted that picture, and so it's the first one I've seen in the wild. So what's next for Retrofit Chicago and the Chicago Energy Policy? The Retrofit Chicago 2020 goals are to increase the number of buildings in the program by 25 more. So we have 100 buildings in the program right now, and we're doing outreach and working with partners to get another 25 buildings into the Retrofit Chicago program in 2020, and to crack that average of 20% across all of the member properties in the program. As I mentioned, we're at about 15% right now, but as more and more buildings are reaching that 20% or even more, a couple are at 35, we're hoping to really crack that average of 20%. And if you have any interest in the program or you're looking to have some more questions, I'm happy to take them. You can respond to the webinar and people will get in touch with me, or we'll share my contact information at the end of the webinar. But what's really next in Chicago policy? I'm curious to see what happens next. I know there's a lot of talk about how we can increase building performance over time. And a lot of other cities have benchmarking ordinances now and have added on to those ordinances. Some cities have lowered the benchmarking square footage to 25,000 square feet. Some cities have required retrofits for lower performing buildings, and some cities are looking at adopting zero energy or zero carbon codes for new and existing buildings. So curious what you think should happen next in Chicago, and you can type in the chat what your thoughts are and your ideas. I'd be curious to hear.
Great. Well, thanks, Katie. Appreciate your rundown of the retrofit program and Chicago benchmarking and the transparency ordinances. It's no secret that those participating in Retrofit Chicago have done a number of things to get there and throw their building in the ring to compete for that 20% and the recognition that goes along with it. So many of you have already suggested in the polls early on that utility incentives were a primary driver for a lot of those projects to get momentum. And you can see ComEd and Peoples and North Shore Gas offer a bevy of different utility programs that are supported through ratepayer funds on your utility bills. And for many of you, retro commissioning and monitoring-based commissioning are a joint offering through those utilities that look for projects that are low and no cost in nature, primarily energy tweaks to existing equipment through the automation system. And they both offer standard upgrades for the automation system itself, for lighting, steam trap replacements, and they also offer things that don't fall into the standard category for custom, which are at various rates to justify the project within the program. So you can certainly pitch your ideas to ComEd and to Peoples Gas, and they will evaluate those individually and ensure that there's a proper baseline set and that it's a wise use of the ratepayer funds. So from ComEd's side, I wanted to highlight just a couple of things that may be either updated for you and may not have seen yet, or others that are perhaps lesser utilized. And so you can see here, it's no wonder that by upgrading your lighting, you can see a vast difference. But ComEd is looking to distribute over $1 million a day in incentive funds. So certainly they're not shy with the value of that program on a year-to-year basis, and they're contracted through the foreseeable future. And so accessing those funds as a commercial building or a multifamily high-rise, it's certainly to your benefit to access these funds and finding contractors, vendors, trade allies who can help you access that. And it is important for whether it's a ComEd incentive or a People's Gas incentive that your contractor of choice is on the Illinois Commerce Commission energy installer list. And it's a simple application that vets their activity within the Better Business Bureau and good standing as a business within the state of Illinois. And so once that is completed and applied for annually, your preferred vendor, whether it's an electrician or a mechanical contractor or what have you, they're eligible to provide these installations for you and assist you with getting the incentives. So a couple that I think ComEd has stressed in the past as being sort of a unicorn of incentives and is not widely pursued is the escalator motor efficiency controller. It's not a large incentive at $20 per horsepower, but it is something that they're willing to provide, especially as escalator technology has improved over the years. And then another one which may be beneficial for your office team or for some of your office tenants is the network desktop power management software. And by employing perhaps a corporate or administrative software package that qualifies, ComEd offers $15 per desktop computer. Now, a lot of Windows computers have some sort of desktop management program available. So this might be even for, your at-home operation. You can set your computer to go to sleep or turn off a monitor using a power strip. Or if you're in the office and have tenants who must be in the office, you can encourage them to set parameters on their power down of their laptops or PCs to be scheduled in the event that they also need to get some sort of global updates from some other location. So things to keep in mind when encouraging tenants or if tenants have questions on these sorts of things. Now within People's Gas, they have a number of additional types of incentives that are available, both of which with ComEd offer thermostat incentives and different types of free assessments to evaluate what types of incentives are possible. So if you don't have a preferred contractor or vendor who can provide any of this sort of recommendation, they have a platform in place where they can send out their team to determine what types of incentives that you can pursue in your building. And so one innovative, perhaps, element to add to a building could be a space heating energy recovery unit. And this is a sensible heat wheel, thermal wheel that could be added into qualifying air handling units that would be able to leverage the thermal energy, the sensible energy in the air on the return. May not be as applicable in these times, bringing in return air to the building, but it is an incentive that the utility offers, and it's quite a lucrative one at that. Going back to the free home energy assessments and bringing this to your new workplace, both ComEd and People's Gas offer free home assessments. So whether you live in a single family home, condo, townhouse, apartment building, you can work with ComEd and People's Gas to get a free home assessment. And they have folks who will come through with this equipment in place. They'll take a small survey before they arrive for your scheduled visit. And they are authorized with your permission to install LEDs, programmable thermostats, WaterSense shower heads, and other types of products that would benefit you on your home energy use. A little more from Energy Star. They have a ton of tools available that can help you, whether at home or office. These are some items here, and bear with me with these animations that I'm about to show you, but they offer a bunch of different opportunities for improving the workplace or improving your home and how you use energy in that space. So everyone most likely has some sort of blinds, window coverings that they can use when it's really, really warm outside or really cold outside. These can be used to keep in heat in the summertime, or keep out heat in the summertime and keep in heat in the wintertime. So making sure that you're aware of the impact the blinds can have, whether it is in the home or office. These things can help with your energy use and thermal comfort within the space. Now, if you're at home, making sure that some of the vents that are around aren't covered by beanbag chairs or kids' toys and other things, so that you're getting the full benefit of your home furnace and your home air conditioning system. And it's not kind of hampered by any of the things that could get in its way. And then, like I said before, there are some power management opportunities to help with your energy use, especially if you're working from a large space that perhaps may have a call center or just a large volume of staff in the space. And then, of course, programmable thermostats are a great way of managing your temperatures and energy use at home. Another one is, once your cell phone or other devices are fully charged, keep those unplugged when you can. Only keep them charged when needed. There's a lot of Energy Star products out there that you can take advantage of, whether it's home office tools or office tools, as well as home appliances. And then this one I like a lot, challenge poster. Inciting a challenge within your home or within the workspace is certainly a great way to encourage people to look for these types of opportunities. And the Energy Star EPA website has free brochures, posters, and handouts and things that you can deliver to your tenants that can encourage some of these activities to happen. Just a few more items that do have Energy Star ratings available in case you didn't know that was available is water coolers. Desk lamps are another way, of course, switching to LEDs from CFLs or even incandescents if those are still around. And then power strips, some of them have gotten to smart technology, and the utilities, both electric and gas, offer this as part of their home energy audits, that you can collect these at a discount and have those delivered to you for immediate use. And then as simple as turning the light switch off when you're outside of a room can, pay dividends, especially if you're back and forth to different spaces. And then, of course, someone has to lead this charge, whether it's at home or the office. So setting someone up to be the champion to make sure that there's someone setting goals and keeping people accountable for how they operate in your space. So something that might be a great way to keep children or teenagers occupied is to set these targets and set one of them in charge to make sure that they're keeping the home nice and energy efficient. So again, these are what some of the handouts look like. Live green at home, live green at work, that the EPA and Energy Star can distribute to you in pretty mass quantities. They're very happy to deliver these to you. And then the Energy Star checklist as well is another great way to get the ground running with some official materials. So these are things that are available to you, as well as an energy assessment through Energy Star. I don't personally have experience with this, but it's another group that's willing to provide you some recommendations and some feedback on how to save energy. Now, in my isolation here at home, I've started to play around with the Energy Star website, and there is an energy savings at home section so that you can enter your home, apartment, condo into this platform and start understanding ways that you can specifically save. So even if you don't know what your R value is on your roof or windows or any of those types of items, identifying that the items that you do know can certainly provide some decent recommendations out of this platform. So really all you need to do is be able to provide 12 months minimum of utility data. They have the green button accessibility. So both ComEd and People's Gas have this to where you can get this identified into a CSV file that can be imported to the Energy Star website. And you start identifying the different things that you may have performed at your house or home and start getting recommendations out of it. So for me, you can see here, these are some of the recommendations, and you can start to tick off things that you've already achieved, choosing an Energy Star TV, changing your home filter on your furnace, and turning off lights and using power strips to disengage equipment that's not in use. All right, now this is one I thought was really interesting that I thought I'd be great to share. Keeping your refrigerator closed. Now that everybody's at home looking for snacks and lunch and sandwiches and all sorts of other things, your fridge might be opening a lot more than it used to. So a fun fact that I got out of the Energy Star website was that on average, 33 times a day, your refrigerator is opened. Now, I don't know if that is a factor of isolation or if that's just on a regular day when everybody comes home at 5 or is back from school, but that is a number I never thought possible. Kind of like how they say you touch your face 1,000 times a day or whatever it is. This was a number that was startling to me. So keeping track of snack time and those sorts of things and keeping that door closed whenever possible is certainly to your benefit, and keeping your goods nice and fresh. And then another one that we talked about just for a second on the home office or on the office side of it, some buildings have underfloor heating and cooling ventilation units. At home, you likely have these sorts of registers, and making sure that they're free of any obstructions, and finding ways to seal leaks and having a professional evaluate your HVAC system regularly, whether it's seasonal from summer and winter, or at least once a year to find any potential for recommendations to improve and keep your home nice and conditioned. So these are some shots from home. In isolation, of course, when you're sharing space with others, you want to have your Zoom calls and different types of calls with friends and family. I was recently in our guest bedroom and decided to take out the CO2 unit because I was like, man, this is kind of stuffy in here. I don't spend a lot of time in here. This is just different. It gets hot and it's kind of strange. I set up a CO2 monitor in my space, and as you can see, it reached almost 1,700 ppm in the time that I was in there. So making sure that your HVAC equipment is being regularly serviced. If it's not getting fresh air from outdoors, which I'm sure, which I learned, many homes and condos, apartments don't necessarily have your air intake coming from an outside space. It might be coming from the room or from that HVAC closet. Making sure that you're regularly opening windows to get some fresh air into your space, and it'll keep people happy. It'll freshen up the space, and it'll certainly drop that ppm below 1,000, which is considered the safety standard in the city of Chicago at the very least. Will keep people comfortable and focused and happy. The other one here is my floor register. As you can see, I inserted, I probably should have circled it, but you can see that I added some duct tape, actual like heat thermal duct tape to my register on the floor because there was a massive gap here in this unit. So to help prevent any sort of leakages or inefficiencies in our system, decided to seal that up. The Energy Star website says that just doing simple things like this or having a professional run through the entire duct system can save up to 20% on your home energy use. So some food for thought. And then of course, some more stuff to keep kids occupied. Energy Star has a segment for children. It looks like it's also partnered with Dr. Seuss, so that's very exciting. And it has a lot of little games and things that kids can work on to keep occupied and understand a little bit more about energy use and helping the family make these opportunities happen. And that's all I have. Katie, I believe you have a couple slides here that you'd like to share with everyone.
Yeah, just adding on to what you were talking about, Dave, with the what you can do at home and in your community. There's a great website called earthdayecochallenege.org. It's a challenge that runs from April 1st to the 30th, but you can join anytime. It's also just great to check out individual actions that you can take at home. And it's really nice because it gives some different resources and links to learn more, things that you can check off that maybe you already do. Some of the challenges are daily challenges and some of them are one-time challenges, but it's just a really cool website. And if you wanted to start a team, even between now and April 30th, you can compete against other people in the challenge as well. So just check that out if you have some time. Again, great opportunities to just think about things you already do, but also some small ideas that you might be able to implement while you're home. Illinois Green has a webinar next Wednesday on April 29th at noon called Climate Action in Your Community. It's looking at, again, those individual actions that you can take as an individual at home and in your community, but also how to share those with others. What are some opportunities to share the knowledge you have as a professional in this space with your neighbors and your friends in a way that is fun and not annoying. And so definitely check out that webinar next week if you're interested in getting some tips from the rest of the Illinois Green staff as well.
Thanks for sharing that. We covered some stuff in home and office, and community is definitely kind of brings it all together. And these are some additional sources for the information that we've talked about today, areas where you can find information regarding the Retrofit Chicago program, how to print out your energy placard, and utility program information, as well as Energy Star and Help Center for the City Benchmarking Ordinance. We've got, I believe, some time here to continue the conversation. If anyone has any questions or thoughts that they'd like to share, we can certainly, I think, open it up for a few minutes.
Katie or Dave, have you heard anything from the City of Chicago if there'll be any delays with benchmarking ordinance requirements this year, particularly since the first and third year benchmarking requires the certification by professional, and if that's delayed because of buildings being partially occupied.
I have not heard anything about it being delayed. This is this year's benchmarking data is based on 2019's calendar year utilities, and as far as I'm aware, the June 1st deadline still stands. But if anyone has questions or has trouble meeting that deadline, I know you can contact the Energy Benchmarking Help Center and let them know. I know that they appreciate communication and knowing if you're having trouble meeting that deadline. They'd rather know about it than not. So definitely contact the Help Center if you're having trouble meeting this year's deadline.
Yeah, and that's a good question too. When it comes to the data verification piece, the indoor air quality is the only portion of that verification on the data checklist that does not have to be evaluated as a part of this. That's strictly for the Energy Star certification itself. So for buildings that qualify with the 75 score or higher. So that's a great question. It does not impact the verifier to complete that portion of it for that first or third year sort of ordinance compliance. Just
one thing about Retrofit Chicago, something that I may have glossed over a little bit, but if a building has done some energy efficiency work in the past couple of years, the Retrofit Chicago program allows you to set your baseline up to 2 to 3 years in the past to capture those savings. So if there are some projects that your building's done recently or something that you think might have contributed, Retrofit Chicago program can look with you at your data over the past couple of years and set a baseline that's going to put you in the best light to be on your track to that 20% savings. So it doesn't need to be something that starts today and any projects that happen from today forward, but can go in the past a couple of years and capture that work that you've already accomplished.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Appreciate you spending your morning with us on this topic, and we look forward to seeing you again.